So the Baltimore Ravens have just traded a fifth-round pick for Calais Campbell, which on paper seems to make no sense. I mean, that seems kind of like a steal. In fact, they've now given up two fifth-round picks to get Marcus Peters and Calais Campbell, which just on paper is kind of crazy. I know people are kind of bashing the Jaguars for this, but you got to keep in mind, Jacksonville is in a position where they need to rebuild, they need to offload some contracts, and keeping a 33-year-old player on a big contract when you're trying to rebuild doesn't make a ton of sense. Campbell is scheduled to make $15 million in 2020, and if you're Jacksonville, why spend that money on a guy who probably by the time you're good again, he will no longer be good? So I think it makes sense from the Jaguars' perspective just to get rid of him, try to get some draft capital back. It's a little surprising they couldn't get more than a fifth-round pick back for him. You would think some team would give up a third-round pick at least, but nope, that's all they could get. So really a great move for Baltimore, I think, because Campbell is still a very good player. I also think it's worth mentioning that while yes, his production did go down a little bit in 2019, a huge part of that is because he was now not playing as an edge rusher more often than not, and he is kind of that natural edge rusher, but he was still able to find ways to be productive. Like this play, for example, he is going to be on the inside. He's going up one-on-one against the right guard right here, and take a look at what happens right when the ball is snapped. So, you see right here that 75, he's getting ready to try to make contact, and you can pretty much tell just by the body language that Campbell is going to try to break to the inside, go to the center's area, try to get in between the center and the guard. It makes some sense. You fake one way, go another way. It's kind of logical here. So his assigned man is going to try to just create the contact by getting his left arm on Campbell's right pec, basically. Because you get it there, you have the power where you can push him away. However, Campbell is so good at using his hands to his advantage. Watch how he just swipes that hand away, and at that point, there's nothing you can do. It's ball game, and he's able to get to Mariota for a sack. And that's just what Calais Campbell can do. He is a veteran player. He knows how to use his hands to his advantage. And quite frankly, he's just a really talented guy still. He's just so strong, which, he can play on the inside. He can also play on the edge. So now he has versatility in that Baltimore Ravens defense. And he is a very talented player. I think he'll be very good in 2020. Like, one of the things that he'll do maybe more often than anybody is just have one of those splash plays. He's so good at those, oh my goodness, how did that happen type of play. Like on this one, for example, what's going to happen is that it's going to be a left guard, a left tackle, and a tight end all blocking those three Jacksonville players right there. They want to make sure everyone's accounted for, but in doing this, it means that a center is going to have to move over and block Campbell, and that's a tough block. Because watch, right after the ball is snapped, again, notice Campbell's hands. Notice how he gets his right hand right there on the center's left hand. They're basically holding hands at this point. Very romantic. But because of that, it now means that you can't really stop him in any way, and it'll be so easy for him to get through. He just completely runs through, gets to Derrick Henry, and brings him down. And again, that's one of those when you're watching it live, you're just like, how did that happen? What in the world went on there? And then you remember, oh, right, it's Calais Campbell. That's what happened. Again, worth mentioning that I think part of the reason why the Jaguars are making this move is they have Josh Allen, who's a great guy at rushing the passer. They also, they do currently have Ngakoue, although, he's been tagged. Who knows if they'll keep him. However, again, I just think that this is such a good move for the Ravens. I understand it for the Jaguars, something that has to be done, but for the Ravens, it seems like they're getting a steal. And even a play like this, where, okay, he's going up one-on-one against a left guard, and what you see right after the ball is snapped is that he's going to just do a good job of running over, basically away from the center's position, going closer to the tackle. He did that so quickly that his assigned man basically has no hope but to just try to grab on, just try to, get some contact. And again, that's what Campbell does so well, is he doesn't allow you to get the hand placement that you want. This ends up being what 100% should have been a holding call. It wasn't called, but that should have been a holding call. And if it wasn't holding, Campbell would have gotten a sack out of it. So really, I mean, again, that's what he can do. He's just one of those guys where he's a smart enough player where you're not going to get the hand placement you want. And then he's so strong that if you don't have great hand placement, you're going to be in trouble. It's his high football IQ mixed with his insane talent that makes him such a good player, and that will make him such a good player in Baltimore. And also, seemingly, everyone Baltimore touches turns to gold. So I think he could even be better there. I think potentially, having him play more snaps on the edge could be more beneficial for Baltimore. I could totally see that. And again, he did get some snaps as an edge rusher, and when he was playing for Jacksonville, absolutely. There's this play where it's actually going to be a running play, and what's going to happen is that the tight end is going to be the one who's moving over to block Campbell. The reason why you'll do this, it's, some people call it a flash. You flash him over there. And the reason why you do this is because it's a great way to get a tight end to have a one-on-one matchup against an edge rusher, because he now has an angle where he's moving over, and it just makes things easier. And so after the ball is snapped, he's going to try to go low, try to just take Campbell out of the way that way. But Campbell is being very smart here. Watch what he's doing. Basically, watch his, entire body, essentially, and look how he's getting low, and he's using his arms. And what he's going to try to do is get his arms and create as much contact with that Houston player as much as possible, to where now the contact that's going to happen low will not be as strong. He's also going to move his legs backwards to also help make sure that the contact isn't as big, so therefore hopefully he won't get taken out of this play. And it works to a T. He's able to completely pull that off. It's almost like bullfighting a little bit. He's able to run over and make the tackle, just get around the guy, and that's what he's able to do. It's true. It's the football IQ part. We all like to talk about how strong is this guy, how quickly can this guy run a 40, how much can he bench. You know what I care about? How good of football do you play? And Campbell is one of those guys where he's just such a smart player. I think that, again, I keep repeating myself, but I'm repeating myself because it's really true. I really think that this is a great move for the Baltimore Ravens. And I also think that he just does the little things well. It's not just those big plays. It's also sometimes just doing your role. Like on this play, what's going to happen is that this is going to be a twist where you're going to have Josh Allen. He's going to run to the inside of the tackle, in between the tackle and to the guard. And then you're going to see Campbell just try to run around the tackle. So the hope is that Allen does a good enough job of pulling the tackle towards the guard that when Campbell does run around, he could have plenty of room to run. And as you see, Allen does do a very good job, but I also like how Campbell is being patient here. He's not instantly running over, because if he did that, there was a tight end who was helping block at first on this play, so he could have then ran over and made sure he blocked Campbell. But also, it could just make things easier for a tackle. If you quickly see that Campbell is running around the edge, you could quickly pull off a switch, and then, you're basically rendering yourself useless and wasting precious seconds trying to get around. So Campbell is just simply being patient here. That's all he's doing. It's just patience. Give yourself an extra half second, because that can save you several seconds in the long term. So when he does that, he's able to run over, and he's quick enough. He's able to get the Rivers, brings him down. Just a great play from Campbell. And yeah, that's pretty much the main things I like about him is, the number one thing, obviously, football IQ, very smart player, and that could help a lot of the other Baltimore players, perhaps. I also think that he's somebody who, he has playoff experience. He went to an AFC championship game just a few years ago, so he has that going for him. And it's also worth mentioning, yes, he will count $15 million towards the cap for Baltimore, but it's only for one season. There's been some talks that maybe they're going to work on an extension, but, if he plays for $15 million, he's only going to do it for 1 year. So I do think that this just makes a lot of sense from Baltimore's perspective. And plus, it's the 5th round pick. How often does your 5th round pick even become a starter, let alone a great player? They don't necessarily have a ton of cap space now, but at the same time, hey, you're a really good football team. You were the best team in the regular season last year. Get some more talent and see what you can do. I love this move from Baltimore's perspective. And again, people are kind of flaming the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it's just a move that they felt like they had to do. By the time that they're competitive, Campbell will probably be old and not very good anymore. So, it's going to take them a couple of years. They're trying to rebuild, and they might even be trying to tank for Trevor Lawrence. Just going to throw that out there. Maybe a possibility, or just tank to get somebody who's very good. Maybe get the number 1 overall pick and trade back if you feel confident enough in Minshew. Who knows? But I do think that, sometimes you have to make tough decisions. Sometimes you have to rebuild. It's a bad move on paper for the Jaguars, but it's the kind of thing where, you're probably in a better position after this move than you were before this move, just in terms of trying to move forward. And Baltimore is definitely in a better position. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the trade. Like to know what you guys think. And, of course, as always, Thanks for watching.